Greet the Reaper for me.
Better luck next time.
Meet your maker.
Greet the Reaper for me.
Ha! Nice try.
Meet your maker.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So it wasn't a dream after all. Not a very chatty fellow, are you?
Oh, everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it, see? The collar's function. It neuters you, of sorts. Makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with humans.
Oh,
Good
everything's
gods! There's
nothing left to do,
been
really.
a murder here.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no voidwoken followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time, didn't he? You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? A man of principle. I get it. Wonder how you'll feel when whoever did this does it again. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous. No marks, no indications of a struggle.
Come on, please, Loisa. I forgot how to say it. I did.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on. One of us would kill our own.
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, you lay awake thinking of someone back home. A very special. You were reminiscing about the things you used to do together.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
Nothing left to do, really.
So, anything interesting for me?
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
The young woman seems about to raise her hand, but quickly remembers herself and nods pointedly at the excited children.
Who indeed? Why, my name is, Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb.
The children break out into giggles.
I say, it...
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoots.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and get, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and...
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? Guess you aren't a creative type, are you, Chief? I say they're one and the same. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel as quickly as they came. The clouds...
Good luck, Chief.
Name? The Divine Order wants to know. Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy, we're trying to catch a kill.
A no doesn't become a yes over time, you know.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind...
Well, well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon's testes that are... On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can tailor and groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. My slave, of course. Oh, but... I see. Yes, I suppose it must take... Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now, shoo!
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to...
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague.
He opens both eyes and turns his head toward you, looking you up and down. He smiles and closes his eyes once more.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
The ship, of course.
There has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe...
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten red nest.
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger. It's...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then...
Anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that. Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy. No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again.
Suit yourself. Was just going to adjust your collar for you. It pinches, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate... Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough.
Ifan performs an elaborate... The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's fame. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally,
Fascinating.
he sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your book? No. I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your god. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what... Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his...
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about you faring okay so far.
He tugs the collar of his uniform.
Sorry you're upset, sir. But we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. But
And he'll keep with those bolts trained on her. And if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply...
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
What happened? Must have been the turnips. You.
The lizard's eyes close as he sleeps. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. You hear a faint thud. Ifan lies motionless. His eyes flicker up.
Lucy.
Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall.
No, not the final dark. Not.
It's no use.
The dice roll darkly.
Damn, that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards!
Thank the gods! But to find grace...
He eyes the collar circling your neck, and
Another sorcerer!
the Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too?
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix! Take her...
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. Rix looks to his companion, who then looks to you. They drop their hands to their...
Go on then! Find a place to hide and stay there.
Bishop Alexander. If Lucian were alive, what would he think of his son's divine order?
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters!
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of it. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia.
No. What damn fools record knowledge? It catches fire. It turns into must when wet. It cannot even resist acid. No.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the...
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed. which allowed me a mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little... Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death.
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns.
Great gods! Something's pounding on the hull!
The marking on the door was painted. You press your palm against the door to... It doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ash...
Death fog! I need to get out of here! Now! Not long before this thing snaps into splinters! Damn, that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards!
You pass through the door. The skeleton is...
No, it catches...
The skeleton...
Oh...
The skeleton...
Yes, now if you'll please, I had a mask still. Indeed, I would...
The skeleton...
Great gods! Something's pounding on the hull!
The marking on the door was... You press your... It doesn't... The door groans...
Something's breaking through! What in the hells are those things? Death fog! I need to get out of here! Now!
chance.
Climb up there and dig in the rope. Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to move.
Said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
If you could walk, get yourself off the ladder. Wait! Voidwoken!
I thought voidwoken was supposed to be scary.
I've faced worse.
Let the games begin.
They who are about to triumph.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch. Telling when there might be more. We need to move.
Let's not carry. This old tub is about to burst.
Oh wait, don't have much time.
I hear something. It's... Sounds like she needs help.
Wait! We need to wait!
There's no time.
stands for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.